Hey, happy traveler, come on down. You're the next contestant on Is the Price Right?
He's a TA and he's gonna talk. Let's join Matt for today's TA Talk.
Hello, happy travelers, and welcome back to the home office for the next installment of our TA Talk series, which, as you could tell by the intro, is going to have a bit of a game show theme today, and that's because today's topic reminds me of a certain game show. Now, I'm not talking about Family Feud like you might see on the Carnival Mardi Gras or even The Price is Right, which you can find on the Norwegian Prima. I'm actually thinking of an older, more classic game show, Let's Make a Deal. Now, I'll get back to the game show correlation in just a minute, but first you need to know what I'm actually talking about, what the topic is, and that is a stateroom guarantee. When you're booking your cruise, you have an option on certain cruise lines to book what they usually refer to as a guarantee, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Starting with what is a guarantee, and a guarantee is what it sounds like. They are guaranteeing that you will be on the ship in that specific category that you booked the guarantee for. So for example, if you book an interior guarantee, you are guaranteed to have at least an interior stateroom on that sailing. If you book a balcony guarantee, same thing, except you're guaranteed to have at least a balcony stateroom. Now, the catch is that those could be anywhere. They are assigned to you when you do a guarantee stateroom. But on the flip side, they are usually sold at a lower price than choosing your own stateroom can be found for. Now, that's not always the case, hence why I say usually, but when we're typically speaking, that is what's going to happen. They're going to be available for a lower price, but the cruise line is going to choose and assign your stateroom to you. So that's kind of the trade-off. Hence why I am comparing it to Let's Make a Deal. It's obviously a little bit different, but that's what it makes me think of. It's almost like you've got door number 1 and door number 2, and what they tell you is, hey, you can go for door number 1, choosing your own stateroom for this price. You know exactly what you're going to get. You can walk away right now. Or you can risk it all on a double or nothing video bonus question. No, wait, that's a different game show. But you can risk it all for us to assign the stateroom for you, and it will be a lower savings. But you don't know where that stateroom's going to be. So you have the for sure thing with door number 1, or door number 2 comes with a bit of an element of risk. Could be a really great stateroom location. Could be a zonk. That's why it reminds me of Let's Make a Deal, because you don't know exactly what you're going to get should you choose to go with the guarantee. It could be really big savings, but it could also, I don't want to say ruin your vacation, but it certainly could have an impact if you are awarded a room that you're not really too keen about. And that's exactly why I wanted to make this video. I wanted to have a TA talk on this specific subject, because we have had clients throughout the years who have found themselves in this scenario where they book a guarantee, and despite us telling them that these rooms could be anywhere, they are still surprised sometimes when their stateroom assignment comes through, and disappointed and shocked and flabbergasted and frustrated and other words that might describe the situation. So I cannot stress it enough. When we say that the cruise line is going to pick your stateroom location for you, they are going to pick your stateroom location for you. And it is any room that is available. Any room is in play here. Any deck, any location. So our advice right off the top is that if you care even the slightest bit about where your cabin is located on the ship, do not do a guarantee booking, because you might end up disappointed. Actually, there's a good chance you'll end up disappointed if you do have preferences. Now, if you don't have preferences, if you don't really care, you just want to go on a cruise, have a good time, and you're looking for the lowest price possible, then a guarantee booking might be for you. But again, can't say it enough. If you care at all in the slightest about the location, avoid the guarantee. And here's why. You have to assume that your assignment is going to be the very worst possible stateroom location, because it could be. And that is obviously very subjective. It depends on the person and their opinions on stateroom locations aboard cruise ships. But whatever your opinion of it is, whatever you think is the worst, assume that it will be that, because it could be. We have people all the time say, I didn't think they would put us over there. I didn't think they'd put us on the lowest deck or all the way forward or what have you. Yes, they can, and they will. Another reason to consider avoiding booking a guarantee is if you are traveling with other staterooms. So one of you books a guarantee and the other one books, even if you chose your own stateroom, they probably will not put that guarantee next to the stateroom you have chosen. Or if you book 2 guarantees, they probably will not put those 2 staterooms close to each other. Now, It's always possible for sure, but you cannot bank on it. And I have seen that time and time again where people assume because these reservations were booked together at the same time, they're linked as traveling parties, that those two guarantees, of course, will be placed together. But that is actually usually not the case. You could end up on opposite ends of the ship, opposite sides of the ship, one high, one low. It could be anywhere. So if you're traveling together and you need those rooms to be next to each other, avoid the guarantee bookings. Another consideration that doesn't apply so much to interior rooms, but anything ocean view or above. Anything where you're going to have a view, so at least a window or even a balcony that you can walk out on, is that view or that balcony may be obstructed. You might have lifeboats there, you might have parts of the ship there. Obviously, ships are designed differently, so there could be different aspects, different things that are in the way. So you have to assume that if you book a guarantee, that it's quite possible that you could be placed in a room with an obstructed view. So you can't assume that won't happen unless you're booking a category of ship that does not have obstructed view, ocean view or balcony categories. Then you're pretty much safe in that realm. But if you're booking on a ship that does have those, have to assume that is where you will be placed, because oftentimes people are going to choose to book staterooms that are not that, and when you do a guarantee, again, you're paying the lowest price, so they're going to usually slot you into the lowest available category, which is those obstructed view rooms. Now, something else I wanted to talk about when it comes to doing a guarantee is a method or a practice that I think is essentially extinct now, at least endangered at the very least, and that is the fact that people will book a, let's say, ocean view guarantee in hopes of being awarded a balcony or even a suite. Big dreamers. And what I mean is, if you think back to what I said a guarantee was, right? Like if you book an ocean view guarantee, you're guaranteed to have at least an ocean view. So you would not be bumped down to an interior. It would be at least an ocean view, could be a balcony, could be a suite. That used to happen not very often in prior years. There were examples of where the stars would align and you would book that ocean view guarantee and be awarded a balcony stateroom instead. However, with the invention of the stateroom bidding programs like Royal Up, if you check out TA Talk number 2, where I went in depth about how that works, when you have those bidding programs in place, it really limits the opportunity for that, because they're going to take bids on those higher stateroom categories. So I think now, for the most part, you really have to assume, if I'm booking ocean view guarantee, I'm getting an ocean view. Same with interior, same with balcony. Whatever category it is, assume you're going to be there. Assume you're going to be in the worst location possible. And I don't want it to sound like that's definitely going to happen, because it may not. We've booked guarantees before and had a great stateroom location. But people tend to assume the best when it comes to guarantees. And while I admire the optimism and I appreciate it, we have to have a little bit of realism as well, that may not be the case. Now, a couple of frequently asked questions when it comes to category guarantees or stateroom guarantees that I think might be useful to those of you watching this video. Number one is that if I book a guarantee, let's go with an ocean view guarantee, and then I decide I actually want to choose my stateroom later on, would I have the opportunity to do so? And the answer is maybe. It depends on if there is availability, of course. If there is availability, yes, typically you can bump up from the category of a guarantee to then choosing your own stateroom. The thing to keep in mind is that your booking would be repriced to the current rates of choosing your own stateroom. So let's say you book the Ocean View guarantee, and then a week later you choose that you decide you actually want to choose your own stateroom, you want to change to that category. Probably not going to be too much of a price difference there. It definitely could be different, could be more, could be less, but there's not a big chance that it's going to be a huge difference. Whereas if you book and then a year later you decide you want to do that, the price has probably gone up quite significantly, and you would now have to pay those higher rates. So definitely want to remember that and think about that when you're choosing. It's okay to make a change later on, but you're better off if you can kind of nail it in right from the beginning. Probably the most frequently asked question we get with stateroom or category guarantee bookings is, when will my room be assigned? When will I know the room number and the location? Which of course is a perfectly reasonable question to ask. I will say, if you're one of those that's going to be like, what's our room, what's our room, what's our room, maybe don't do the guarantee, because you're probably just going to drive yourself bonkers. Typically, anytime between you book it and about 2 days before sailing, because usually 48 hours before the cruise is when the manifest has to be submitted to Customs, Border Patrol, and all that stuff. So it could really be any time in that window. I typically have been seeing guarantees get their room assigned within 30 days from sailing, so it usually takes a while. Somewhere between 30 days to a week, I would say, is the average, and it depends. It depends on the cruise line, depends on the sailing, blah, blah, blah. But keep that in mind. Yeah, you might be waiting quite a while, depending on how early on in the booking process you are, for those room assignments to come through. Now, one last thing that's not really a frequently asked question, but it is a specific scenario we have had play out with a client before, and it might be helpful for you to be aware of this information as well, is what I talked about earlier when you have 2 or more rooms traveling together, how they may not be anywhere near each other. And you might be thinking, well, we don't care about that. We'll just meet up in one room, or we'll meet up at the pub or up on the pool deck or wherever. We did have a party, though, who had some concerns about the muster stations being different because they were traveling with someone with special needs, or they were traveling with a child or whatever, that they did not want being assigned a different muster station than their own. Now, typically, your muster station assignment really only applies to when you board and you have to do your safety drill. Fingers crossed that's all it ever is. Of course, there is the very small chance that there would be an actual emergency and you would need to report to those muster stations. So keep that in mind. Even if you're okay with the rooms being far apart, when it comes to either doing the muster drill or in the unlikely event of an actual emergency, those muster stations being separated, being completely different, they may not be anywhere near each other. That's something you might want to think about. So that is going to cover today's topic of booking the stateroom guarantee. But as I like to do for every episode of the TA Talk, it's Spider-Man Potato Head swinging in with this week's mailbag. Your questions, your inquiries about being a travel agent, using a travel agent, insights that I might have to specific scenarios, things like that. You have sent these in via YouTube and Instagram, and we'll encourage you to keep sending them in. You can even do it on the comments of this video here, and also feel free to send some suggestions for future topics that you'd like to see covered in a TA Talk episode. So, got the questions mixed up here. Random poll, let's do it. Beginning with question number 1, and this one is coming off of Instagram by Miss Abby Solo. How to decide which travel agent, not agency, is the right one for you, which is pretty interesting questions. Honestly, don't have much insight to give with that. We are a very small operation. I am the main travel agent for our agency. Sonia is as a travel agent as well. We work in tandem, so everything that comes through our inbox or our phone, we are working on together. I know some agencies kind of split up their agents to have specific areas of interest or niches that they cover. So someone might handle all things theme parks, or someone might handle all-inclusive resorts or specific cruise lines. So you may want to look at that. Obviously we'd be happy to help as your travel agent if it's something that we cover. So feel free to reach out. We have the travel agent information. All right, question number 2. This one is coming from Susan_MCK87 on Instagram. Any plans for Carnival Venezia when it comes to NYC, New York City? I'd love to see more about that ship. Funnily enough, we just had someone reach out about booking that ship. So lots of interest sailing from New York proper there on the Venezia. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, honestly, but we don't have any current plans to do it, but never say never. It's something we might look into. We're always looking for a reason to go to New York. Last one, let's do one more. We'll reach into the bottom here, pull one out. This one is coming from YouTube, it looks like, and it is from Alice Mercer. You all helped me get some fees waived on 2 cruises. Thank you. Of course, our pleasure. I need to make sure that we'll have adequate trip insurance on an upcoming cruise. How can a TA help with that? Good question. Trip insurance is something people ask about a lot. So for us personally, we can sell you insurance through the vendor, so whatever Royal Caribbean offers, Sandals offers, whoever it is, or we can sell you through our third-party Allianz, who's one of the biggest names in travel insurance specifically. So what we'll usually do is kind of give you the breakdown of what the cruise line covers or what the all-inclusive resort covers and their price, and then we can also generate a quote through Allianz, and they usually have different plans that you can select from that have different coverages and different prices, and then you can choose whichever one is right for you. It's really easy to do that. One thing I would like to point out now that we have this avenue is when it comes to insurance through the vendor, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking, I bought the insurance through Royal Caribbean, so Royal Caribbean is giving me the insurance. Royal Caribbean is selling you the insurance, but they are not underwriting it. They are partnering with another company. Right now, it's Aon who is underwriting their policies. It's really just a technical thing, but it's something a lot of people get mixed up on. And one other quick note on insurance while we're on the topic, a mistake I've seen some people make is when they book their cruise, they say, we want the insurance, so they put it on their reservation. And then something comes up and they go to cancel and they're booked under a non-refundable deposit and they say, yeah, but I bought the insurance. You didn't buy the insurance. We added the insurance to your reservation. Until you've actually paid in full or paid specifically for that insurance, it is not covering anything. So keep that in mind. Just because it's added to your reservation does not mean that you have technically purchased it yet, and thus it is not technically active. So it would not cover you in a scenario like that. All right, friends, that is going to do it for this episode of the TA Talk. I will look forward to seeing you in the next one. As always, feel free to send those suggestions, other comments, questions, inquiries in the comments section down below or on the various methods that we provide on YouTube and Instagram. And as always, if you're interested in booking your own travel, feel free to reach out via that travel agent information in the description of this video. It's completely free to use us, no cost, no fees whatsoever. I actually covered that in a TA Talk segment, the last episode, TA Talk number 3. So go back and check that out if you're interested in more information on that. But otherwise, I'm going to sign off for this episode. I will see you next time. Until then, happy travels from me and Coral, the Kit Kat clock.